You then tell the story of how you came to need it, how you used it, the results you have, and you do it with as much enthusiasm and honesty as possible so that they begin to visualize that their problem might be solved by your solution. At which time, I think that's the housekeeper, Tananarife. Um, Once you do that, then you can make your offer to them. So I'm looking at the fact that I was flat on my back, uh, tube down my throat. By the way, the anesthetic, the drug that they had me on to put me into a coma also made it very difficult for me to remember all the things that happened to me when I was in the hospital. And Tananarive talking about them taking the tube out of my throat, suddenly I did not remember being intubated, but suddenly I remembered the tube. It's very strange. It's like, wow, the information is in there, but I don't quite have access to it, which reminds me of people who've had cardiac surgery who had nightmares afterwards about being torn apart. He says, their mind was still open, was still aware of what happened. You just don't have conscious access to it, but the body remembers trauma. Anyway, so I'll be offering the program starting very soon, and we will continue to work on it as I continue to delve deeper into it. I don't understand the limitations yet. It is possible that the combination of the sun salutation and the farmer's walk is more powerful than I had anticipated and wise enough that I have to say it was almost an accident that I put the two of them together, and I looked into the rehab facility and saw that those were the two major things that they had people doing, standing up and walking, and all of the difficulty people had with that, and that those two things were 80% of what I saw going on in rehab. And the other stuff was some stuff that had to do with moving the upper body or working with coordination. Tananari pointed out that when I first woke up, they would give me a straw, in a drink. And I was trying to drink with it, and the straw was hitting my forehead. I could not adjust my coordination. But the things that I've been doing have been working with every aspect of the rehab that I can think of and some that I didn't think of. So it's possible that I came across something that can help people rehabilitate or age with dignity or reach peak performance in an investment of about 12 minutes in the morning. That's kind of scary, the implications, if I'm right about this, but we will see. Anyway, so Tananarive, I have been talking for a while. I would love to bring you in to, begin the real discussion. Okay, I'm not hearing you.
I'm muted, Rosebud.
There
I
you
was
go.
muted. So I guess if we're talking about what's going on, we might as well, talk about what's going on. So, why is December Hell Month? I do it to myself every year. In fairness, this year I had about a month delay in my work, which created like a domino effect of deadlines. I was supposed to turn in a novella December 1st. I had to push that back to December 15th, and I'm wondering if I'll even make that, to be honest. Just realized I'm supposed to have two short stories due January 1st. I need to move at least one of those back. One I think I've already pushed. So I may not have any more pushing room for that one. I am pushing projects right and left, wherever I can, extending deadlines. So I've had some success doing that. But
And having your husband help you brainstorm story ideas.
yes, and having hubby help me brainstorm ideas, that has been super helpful because my brain is very stingy with ideas. I love writing, but the idea part is just like, yeah. So brainstorming with Steve is super, super helpful on deadline. All I have to say is kaiju story, honey, and like we're riffing. So, because I've never written a kaiju story, I don't even know. So, the main thing for me is keeping balanced and not panicking. And I wrote about this in my newsletter, but I'll reiterate it here because not all of you are subscribed to my newsletter at tananarivelist.com for whatever reason. But I had a feeling I had a lot of work ahead of me and not a lot of days ahead of me. But it's not until you actually do the math that it becomes clarifying. It's like, oh, this novella is due December 15th. I have this many pages left to write. I need to write this many pages per day if I'm at that point, y'all. And the quota is 5 pages a day. And it's not easy. It's a hard quota. I didn't even make it yesterday, but the day before I wrote like 10, so I gave myself a break. But I'm trying to hit that 5 a day. And now it's grading time. Any of you who are teaching, I'm on the quarter system, so we're always grading pretty much. I have to do 10 student grades a day, which is like a whole process for me. And even without a writing project, that can take my day. So I'm going to be doing the writing and the grading and getting ready for the holidays. And not panicking is just a matter of, and this is replicable. So this is why I'm telling you all this. If you have wiggle room and deadlines, find out. Maybe you do and you don't even know it. Ask for an extension. Tell them what you're going through. I have a really good reason that I'm asking for deadlines, and I am not ashamed to use it. So ask for that extension. If you can't get me,
I'll have to almost die more often, hon, because
yeah, no, it's not really. Please don't. But so there's asking for the extension. I still have one more extension to ask for today. So far, I've been pretty lucky with getting at least 2 weeks. And then it's the quota. Like when I start grading while I'm writing, I'm gonna prioritize the writing, and because it takes more creative energy. The grading is mostly math, which is a calculator. So once I get my writing done, I start my grading, and I try to use the done by one philosophy, like have the writing done by one or before would be great, and then the rest of the day would be grading. And it's just gonna have to be what it is. I did figure out why I was having some emotional blocks about the scene I was writing. I won't go into it, but I was having some emotional blocks. So if you find yourself circling around the same paragraphs, which is what I was doing my sentence a day, but I couldn't seem to get into flow to go beyond that. The sentence a day is just a trick to get into flow. I mean, that's not literally what I'm trying to do. But some days I was just able to do that sentence, and I was talking to my therapist about it, and I came up with some reasons, and then the floodgates open. So interrogate yourself if you find yourself stuck. Writer's block does not literally mean your brain has shut down and you no longer know how to write. There's something standing in your way. Often for me, it was research. That's the first thing. I don't know enough about this timeline, this town, this character to write this scene. Do your research. If it's not research, there might be some other Writer's emotional block does block. not The literally scene mean your brain. had to do with guilt. And I was feeling some guilt as a caretaker over some things that had happened with Steve. So maybe my therapist thought it's no wonder you're having trouble finishing this scene that has to do with your character trying to basically free herself from guilt. You're gonna have to free yourself from some guilt first before your character can. Whatever it is, find out what's blocking you. Don't just accept that you're blocked. And Life Writing on Circle is a great place to find fellowship where you tell people you're blocked. Maybe even share your pages. Is this any good? If you haven't joined, it's a free social media site for writers. Lifewrite.com, WRITE.com. Please join. We have almost 500 members there.
and if you know people, if you've already joined and you know people who you think would fit within that culture, people who are willing, or writers or readers willing to live positive lives, who aren't just looking for a place to dump their poison when they wake up in the morning in social media, invite them. What I can tell you is we already have engagement there. We're starting to get the kind of engagement that we want. But by the time we've got 1,000 people there, wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
So we are openly encouraging you to invite people who you think would be good candidates there. It's totally free.
Smiling, beautiful faces. I'm looking at the membership list. What a diverse group we have, and what a great site we have. So
It's wonderful.
it's
I love that. I still spend too much time over on Facebook, mostly because there's so many people there, so many thousands of people there, that there's a lot of engagement. There's a lot of more people to engage. But I can't wait until I can spend most of my time over on Lifewrite answering questions and interacting with people. And so that's going to be fantastic. And those of you who are early adopters, thank you.
And it's just more pleasant. It's healthier. For a while, there was enough good news happening on a daily basis for politically for me that I could deal with threads on a daily basis. It was actually fun to go to threads because this court case was lost by Trump or this thing is happening. Like he was having a role. But now today I noticed not so much bad Supreme Court decisions and sales going on with Netflix. And I'm like, I don't like this. This isn't fun. So it's
We stay
not,
out of politics over on Lifewrite.
yeah,
It's
we don't,
this
we're
is
talking about writing
philosophy, yes.
and life.
Politics, no. I am not interested in encouraging people to fight with each other. Remember, we have to get along with our neighbors. We have to find the way to communicate even with people who vote differently than us, who see certain things differently. It's difficult, but someone has to be the adult in the room. I'm
And
encouraging it to be.
I I honestly don't get the sense that we have a lot of political diversity over on Life Right. So I feel like people already know what's what, and we're just trying to get through our projects. But yeah, politics doesn't come up. It just doesn't come up. So it's a good place to
And
really
if it
nurture you.
started coming up, I would message people and ask them to soft pedal that.
We know what's what.
Yeah, I don't want that. It's not only that, it's that if you're trying to change someone's mind, the first thing you have to do is to have good communication with them so that they can hear you and you can hear them. So if the purpose of a political discussion is to find connection, then sometimes you have to avoid political discussions until you are connected. And so it's not that I don't concern myself with these things. It's that I focus on the part of it that feels most useful, which is helping people feel good and helping people connect. That works for me. Um,
So I said, what's going on with me, sweetie? What's going on with you?
well, I've talked about the physical and that we may have our hands on a little miracle here. It's possible. But in terms of the writing, um, I turned in the first two-thirds of the story I'm working on with Larry Niven, and I have to work on, the scene at the end of the mystery where the detective explains how it happened, how the guy got away with it, and how he took it apart. That scene, I have to write the synopsis for that scene now, so that Larry knows every step that I've been doing, how I saw this crime took place, because it relates to a crime that took place 30 years ago. And so it's a difficult thing, and I want to make sure that it's a fair mystery at every point. It's probably fair because Larry already figured it out. He didn't even finish the damn thing. So it's like, oh, okay. Um, And then I need to balance that with Sigil, which started out as a retelling of my fourth novel, The Kundalini Equation. But I realized that because Tananarive is who she is, that for the first time in my career, I can afford to take all the time I need to write a book without caring about whether or not it sells. I've never had that freedom before in my entire life. It's always been, I have to write it. It has to be due at this time. I have to get that money. I have to roll into whatever's next. But this is a different situation because of her genius and because this is her time when the world is responding to her in a way that, frankly, is producing a lot of zeros in the bank account. Uh,
Hey, honey. Also, you came up with a breakthrough in your approach to the story that makes it, I think, more personal.
enormously more
I
personal.
would love for you to talk about your process, like because you've been working on this for about 3 years now, I would say.
Yes.
So
You
what
know,
what
the,
happened?
okay. So what happened is that I decided to retell that story. And the first thing that changed was the ethnicity of the lead. as I began to write it, I went back into his past and I began to add things that were from my own biography in the story. Started becoming more and more intensely personal. The original climax of the story was going to take place in the Philippines. And I remembered something that Harlan Ellison said to me, that my strength as a writer was not in the complications, that I was writing complicated plot structures. And what he wanted me to do was to simplify those things and focus on the psychology, the personalities, the poetry of the writing. And I realized I have a chance to do that, but I need it to be simple, simple, simple. So the more I was working on it, it was a little bit like I was retooling a car that was already moving. In other words, like I was working on it while it's rolling because I had time pressure on myself and I also had a structure that I wanted to protect. But as I got into it, I started asking myself, do I need that structure? Over the 27 years that I've been married to Tananari, and I am not putting myself down, by the way, I have noticed that she is better integrated as a writer in some important ways than I am. And I know that my skills, I've got them locked. I don't have to worry about my skills. I want her skills. I want the abilities that she has. The reformatory is a simple story in many ways, and it connects to her family history and American history and her personal interests, the personal legacy that she got from her mom and dad, as well as generations past. The history of Florida. She went right down that road and got the most powerful reaction she's ever gotten from the public. So I'm looking at this and I realize that there are things that have to do with my childhood and my parents and the world that I see and what I see as being the most pressing problems in America, that without talking about these things directly, but dealing with the way people have to make adjustments to deal with these problems. I I had an opportunity and I'm taking it. So just yesterday, I wrote a timeline of my lead character's life. And it went from when they were 8 months old, when they had their first experience of tachypsychia, which is psychological time distortion. It's a phenomenon that most people have experienced a couple times in their life, usually when something horrible is happening, like you're about to have a traffic accident, a car is coming towards you. Everything seems to be happening in slow motion.
Can I jump in one quick
Yeah,
second? The
please.
time it happened to me was on the way to the hospital when we knew my mother was dying. Like this was the death. Everybody said she just you need to come right now. And while you were driving me there, it was like this weird fixation on like the street light, the stop sign. I really did feel like I was moving out of time.
Raise your hand if you ever had that experience of time slowing down. Okay, good. Yeah. It is, yeah. So we've all had it, usually just a few times. Let me put it this way. A physiologist told me that there is no reason that we should not be able to do that voluntarily. There's no physiological reason why we should not be able to do it voluntarily. Furthermore, voluntary tachypsychia would be the gold standard, the most valuable thing you could possibly have as a martial artist. Imagine being able to turn that on in the middle of a boxing match. It's not that you would not be moving at super speed, but you'd see everything coming at you super slow, so that a tiny change in your angle would change your relationship to the incoming force. I furthermore strongly suspect that the reason that Tai Chi Chuan is considered is grand ultimate fist is considered to be the highest of the arts is because originally it was designed specifically to teach people voluntary takasaikia. It's a suspicion from reading Tai Chi classics, from looking at descriptions of the masters, and it makes sense in terms of what has been lost in America from the practice. So I may not ever make it to Japan to study martial arts, but there's a part of me that wants to go to China and visit the Qin village where Tai Chi originated. Uh, they have nice, soft, let's do the form, let's do very gentle this for most people who come there. But the badasses who think they're badasses who go there, they have people that will put you on your ass. And so what I want is to be put on my butt, but I will be very polite about how I ask them to do it. Uh, I want to take what I've learned about that and put it into this book. And what I've learned about myself and put it in this book. And what I went through in the hospital and put it into this book. Ann O'Connell, is your hand raised because you want to ask something, or is it left over? Okay, good.
Sorry,
So
leftover
that's okay.
or a mistaken click.
Mistaken click. Before I move on, does anybody have anything that they would like to ask about anything that's been said so far? I want to make sure that we are interactive and being responsive. Jaime,
Yeah, hi there. So a moment when you started this thing, you talked about Tanana Reeve being a better integrated writer than you are, and I've been listening because that phrase got my attention. And I think there's depths there that I'm not sure I understand what it means to be integrated as a writer. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about both yourself integrated and Tanana Reeve integrated so I can understand it better, please. Thank you.
you got it. All right. So I'm going to put myself on here, and I'm also going to put Tananarive on here. Spotlight. Okay. An integrated human being, their body, their emotions, their mind are all moving in the same direction. Think of it like a laser. You don't have more energy, but you're not wasting energy, and all your energy is going in the same direction. To a large degree, that's one of the major secrets in life. Tananari's parents encouraged her writing. They they prepared her for that. My mom burned my stories. She was terrified that I would waste my potential as a human being. She did it out of love and fear. I did not feel like I had anything to fall back on. I had to support a family. I had to pay the rent. I think that Tananarive have always had more of a sense that she could fall back on other career things.
I'll jump in. I was a journalism major. I worked at a major newspaper, the Miami Herald, for 10 years. I never planned to try to be a full-time writer because instead of burning my stories, what my parents told me was, okay, yeah, that's cute, or that's good even. You want to write, but you need to have a fallback. You need to have a career. So I went that career path and wrote in my spare time. I also want to point out Steve and I entered the field at very different times. In many ways, my generation as a writer was entering on his coattails and in his footsteps because, shoot, I was published in the 1990s. There was a huge black arts renaissance in cinema and fiction in the 1990s. So I never once I got beyond college, when I was writing white protagonists, not because I thought that would sell better, but because that was what I was reading. The canon was white protagonists, white males having epiphanies. So I didn't see genre and I didn't see race in the stories, and therefore there was no genre and there was no race in my stories for a while. I got out of that thanks to Anne Rice and Mama Day by Gloria Naylor. Gloria Naylor, thank God for Mama Day because that helped me see that I could write Black women and be respected. I'm not going to go through my whole story, but the whole point is, by the time I was out in the marketplace, it was very well established that I could be a Black woman writer, whether I was writing horror or anything. I never had to try to think around my personal experiences to create a universal story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, when I wrote my third novel, Street Lethal, Street Lethal, and they put a white guy on the cover, or I would be at a convention and something racial would come up on the panel, and white guys would get up and leave the room. I didn't come here for this. I got in marketing, you need the best marketing knows exactly who your ideal customer is. And you visualize that person and you talk to that person. Other people are just listening in on that conversation. And if you get specific enough, you emerge at the universal. In a lot of ways, the ideal subject, Larry Niven said that he writes to a person who's just like him, only does not have the same exact knowledge. I should have all the time been writing to myself, to the younger version of me, and allow other people to listen in on that conversation, be white, black, straight, gay, male, female. And I didn't do that. I was trying to figure out how to survive. I was trying to figure out how to sell. And so I made some decisions that were not writing to that younger version of me. And I apologized to that younger version of me who understands exactly why I had to do what it was that I did, but no more. I'm not doing that anymore. And I wanted to make an open declaration of my appreciation for Tananarive for showing me a way in which I was not being as true to myself as I could be, and also providing me with an opportunity to make that shift. So, does that answer your question, Jaime? Yeah, think about being a human laser. You know, the average person who's very successful even is like a magnifying glass. They're focused on a point. A laser has all the amplitude of the hills and valleys of light congruent, moving in the same direction, coherent at the same time. And that can punch a hole in a diamond, whereas a
Right.
magnifying glass can burn a hole in a piece of cardboard. The goal is whatever it is that you are, however much you have, you learn to be in deeper and deeper cooperation with yourself. I read a recent thing talking about how the law of the jungle is not competition. Really, the law of nature is cooperation. Well, the truth is that I don't totally agree with that. There are definitely times when you need to be able to compete, but there are also times when you need to be able to cooperate. We often say, don't compete with other people, just compete with yourself. But who's ever said cooperate with yourself?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I listened. I just thought that 2 days ago. I've never heard anybody say you need to cooperate with yourself.
Hearing both of your stories, I got to thinking about the four projects I'm sort of elbow deep in. Two of them that I'm having the most fun with. One is about a mixed race lesbian couple, and the other one is about a white married widow. And the other two projects, one is about a white lesbian in the 1920s, and then the last one is sort of a fictionalized autobiography of myself. And
That'll be very
that
interesting.
as I think about this definition of what it means to be a well integrated person versus a well integrated writer, I have a clear direction on what my work is now. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally, you work to integrate yourself, and then you be true to yourself.
I
Right.
mean,
Go ahead, T.
now I'm just thinking like all the years and years and years of TV pitching Steve did when he was able to get writing assignments for Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, for Baywatch. None of that stuff, for the most part, a small percentage of that stuff ever had to do with characters of color. He's just trying to get in the door. He's trying to get the respect of his cohort. And, people it's happening again now, according to a showrunner we just had a meeting with who's discovering that under the current political climate, people don't want stories about race. Okay, yeah, we love that. Could you take the race out of that story?
Oh,
About that.
did you see Pantone's color of the year is essentially white?
Oh no, I didn't.
It's
But
like,
so
oh, help us.
Steve is like, it's great to do exercises writing the other, and it's great to be able to write all kinds of characters. I think is a wonderful skill. But when you have been otherized, not only in the eyes of others, but through conditioning, and I'm not saying this is what happened to Steve, but it can happen. Through conditioning, you become other in your own imagination.
Look, I mean,
That's not integration.
I think to myself, self, if I had not spent 10 years in the Northwest and 3 years in Atlanta, I think I would have burrowed into Hollywood. I would have found positions in Hollywood. Most of those positions would have been writing for white people, but I would slowly have changed the culture and I would have had opportunities to do other things. I trust myself. But it just happened. It just last weekend at Lost Count, I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was talking about writing, and I was asked, "Well, who are you writing for?" And I said, basically, a black person who this, the other, and they said, "Well, why aren't you writing for everybody?" Because marketing suggests that you need to write to a particular face, a particular person, and that if you do that right, it will appeal broadly. The unspoken implication of what was said to me is if you want to make money, write for white people. But the truth is that that is true in the sense of that is the majority, no question about it. But if you're being untrue to yourself in that process, if you avoid certain subjects, avoid talking about certain things for not because it's your natural tendency, but because you're trying to make money, then you are risking dishonoring your child self that is saying,
And
where is mine?
And you're leaving that bag on the table because it's through the specificity that you get to the universal. Get out when you take out the race, which was originally the concept. When Jordan Peele was working on Get Out, there was no race in his first outline, and maybe even his first draft before he realized what he was actually writing about. That story about being left out of the group and that feeling of discomfort when you're not allowed in the group is not the $250 million movie that Get Out was specifically because it was about race. And I would also say at this point that the reformatory, my latest signings have been vastly majority white readers,
Yeah,
vastly majority white, and it's a very, very black story. So,
that's because you've touched the universal.
right, you touch the universal through the specific, trying to sort of throw a wide net that isn't meant to appeal to any particular person about any particular heartache of anyone's struggle is not the way to write powerful fiction.
Yeah, it's not. I think that we've touched on what's going on there, but
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it makes me ask questions about my writing and myself and what I've done and who I've been over the course of my career and in my life. And to the degree that my recent, the late unpleasantness, the hospital stay, took me right to the edge of death. And they say that enlightenment is the door of perception that opens at the moment of death. The seeker attempts to open that door before their last breath. I saw the last step. I can go backwards in my mind and think about my first memory. and I've seen, held my newborn son. So it's like there's a part of me that knows where life begins and where life ends. And I'm in touch with both of those parts. And the one thing that clarity, if I brought that back with me, is that you can't play small enough for death not to notice you. You have to say what you have to say while you've got the time to say it. Do the things that you have to do while you've got the time to do it. I believe that if we all speak our truth with love and courage, we're not putting anybody down. We're not tearing anybody down. I'm not asking anybody to carry the weight for me, but I will not be lied to about what my life has been. What America needs to move, I think that we're going through some paroxysms, just sense of, is this really what we are? Is this what we've always been? Oh my God. It's not that America is changing for the worse. It's that the illusion that we're better than we actually are is breaking down. I think that that's just fine because I think America is wonderful the way it is. But we also had a mythology that we were even better than we were. That has to go. The truth that we are an ideal of a way that human beings can be together, that human beings all over the world have been looking at the question, what are we as individuals? What are we you know, as families? What are the social obligations we have to each other? What is the world? What are we? That that it is lying about that that creates the problem. Because when you build your castle on sand, you're always afraid of the tide. Whereas if you build your castle on rock, then a tidal wave won't knock you over. It is my time to not allow my fear to influence what I do with my work. As simple as that. And I look forward very much to what is next. I talked about discussing failing successfully. And I wanted to talk about that. It was a concept that I got from a book on becoming wealthy. And they had one section talking about changing behaviors. And there was, I think, a six-step process, 6 or 7, that you notice the behavior you want to change. You decide what you want to change the behavior to. You raise your energy level, practice the new program, fail successfully, and start over. So let's look at that. You notice a behavior that you want to change, something about your life that you don't want to anymore. This becomes useful. A second. Um, Someone asked in chat if the warrior walk is good for grief. Yes, the core of grief is fear. And you can aerobic exercise under stress teaches your body to process fear differently. The feeling of strength that you can get from the farmer walk exercise, which is half of the warrior walk, where you're moving for between 1 and 3 minutes under load, focusing on your breathing, focusing on your balance, focusing on your relaxation in your face, you just being directed, tells you that you have the strength to survive anything. That you don't pray for an easier life, you pray for a stronger heart. It's that notion. So yes, it would. But underneath the grief is fear. Love yourself. And the antidote for grief and fear is gratitude. So being grateful for the life that you have, being grateful for the things that you had that you now feel grief for. Being grateful, if you would feel grief to lose anything that is now in your life, it is important that you be grateful that you have it now. Don't wait until you lose it to realize how important it was to you, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's take a look at and I hope that helps. Raise your hand if you wanted to get into that more deeply. You decide what you want to change. The behavior you want to change is one that is not your best self. It's not something that is moving you in the direction you want. So the next step is to decide what you do want. What would be the better behavior? What would be the thing that expresses your true being, that will get you where it is you're trying to go? What is that? What does that look like? What is it you'd be doing every day? You raise your energy level. This is something that people miss out on. Raising your energy level, the reason you can't teach an old dog new tricks is that the dog is tired. Okay. If you want to change your energy level, it's a little bit like uh, an old style record. If it's playing at 33 and a third, the needle is pretty stable. If you start speeding up the record, the the needle is likely to skip. So by raising your energy level, you are in a position where it is easier to change from one state to another. So if you do that deliberately, you're not just working your body for random motivations, random reasons, or because somebody said you need to, but because you want to be in charge of the way your brain is programmed. And you have to raise your energy level so that you're not stuck in a groove, stuck doing the same thing you've done every day for the last 1,000 days. You practice the new program. Once you've done that, you practice being the new you. And this is the trick. The fail successfully then is the awareness that if this is a major life change, you cannot get all the way there in one jump. That the old habits will fight for their survival. They will try to keep recurring in your life. So trying something new like this is not about achieving it in one jump. It's about learning. This is who I am. This is who the world is. I tried this. It didn't work. Let me try something else. If you think that people climb Mount Everest or any mountain doing exactly what they thought they were going to do at base camp, you're nuts. It's always figuring it out along the way. That's what you have to have confidence in. Not that you can do it now, but you will figure it out. Have total confidence that you will figure it out. So you need the failure. The failure teaches you who you are and what the world is, but you also need the confidence that you can figure it out. This was another thing that went wrong in my conversation with my friend at the convention. I said I had obstacles in my life. They began to try to hammer on me, that, that's not positive thinking, that's this, that's that. You didn't used to be this way. And what I finally said was, how do you define obstacle? To them, an obstacle was something that stands in your way and there's nothing you can do about it. To me, an obstacle is something that stands in your way. It's like I'm driving down the road, there's a big rock in the road. It's an obstacle. I can go around it. I can roll it out of the road. I can take another road. I can go over it, under it, around it, sometimes right through it. But denying that there is an obstacle means that when you run into it, what do you think? You think, I guess I just don't have the ability to do this. To me, I'm gonna externalize the resistance and kind of say, what do I need to do to get around this? This road, this bridge is washed out. That doesn't mean I can't get over there. I might have to build a bridge. I might have to take a boat. I might have to drive to where there's another bridge. There's always a way, but you have to acknowledge the problems. And one of the reasons, one of the things I did in my life was to try to find the minds. I realized in my career, I was what I call tap dancing through a minefield with people constantly telling me that there were no minds. So I had to figure it out. I had to see, what are the obstacles? What are the challenges? So the difference was, they looked at an obstacle as something that was an immutable barrier. I looked at an obstacle as a rock on the road. Simple as that. Um, so the last step is you failing successfully then is asking, what have you learned? Every time you fail, you ask, what do I learn from this? You learned something. Change it up, do it again. You know where you're trying to go, you try it. When it doesn't work, you try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something else. That's the way I've achieved everything that I've achieved. There was no straight line anywhere in my life, but neither was there an expectation that I should have a straight line, if that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions about this concept of the successful failure, fail successfully? Or does what I'm saying make sense? Yes, Carrie.
I wanted to know when you're redoing your habits or you're making new habits and you let go of or you're trying to let go of old habits. What is the process to is it just consistently focusing on the new habits and ignoring the old habits? Because my old habits are so ingrained, like me just deciding that I cannot go to sleep because I have work to do, and then being up all day, anxious and worrying, and
Okay.
about not
So,
getting stuff done.
so it's that's what you do. What is it that you want to do? What is the habit you want to change it to? Let's actually use this process.
I want to be able to, first of all, have boundaries. I've done that kind of, but I want to be able to consistently schedule my day to be comfortable to do what I need to do.
Okay.
Um,
So I need
you
you to
know,
be specific. I need to wake up at 7 and I need to go to bed by 10. That would be one way of actually quantifying what you're trying to change to. Because if you don't have clear markers, how do you know whether you failed or succeeded? So when do you want to get up? When do you want to go to bed?
I I think that sounds good. 10 to 7. That sounds
Okay,
great.
10 to 7. So that's 9 hours of sleep. That's great. That's
Yeah.
enough to completely let your body heal.
I have never, I haven't, I'm not going to say never. I haven't gotten more than 5 hours of sleep in about 5 or 6 years.
Okay, so
So at a time.
that right there is a major, major, major change that you need to make. Body, then heart, then mind. Always look at body first. Say, what am I taking care of myself as a healthy animal? Most people do not take care of themselves as well as they take care of their dogs and cats. They don't eat as well as the food they feed their dogs and cats. You make sure that your dog, your cat has exercise and play, gets plenty of rest. So you are the instrument that does in your life. The more important the tasks you have to do, the more critical it is you take care of the instrument with which you perform the task. Does that make sense? If you have to chop down a tree, you sharpen your damn axe. So you've let your axe get dull. And
Oh yeah.
and so
Like butter knife. That's where we're at.
there you go. You're trying to use a butter knife to cut raw steak. Doesn't work.
No, no,
So
it
what
doesn't.
you need to do is to make a commitment to increase your energy. So that means rest, that means proper hydration, means proper diet, and it means proper exercise. To exercise for energy does not take a lot of time. It does take some smarts. You could start with what is fun to do, which probably will take more time. You
Well,
could,
I am exercising.
what do you do?
I'm dedicated to go to this place called Fit Zone,
Oh,
3 days a week.
good.
But what I've been doing is I will go to them whether I've slept or not. I get up at 1 in the morning to try to get some documentation, and then my class is at 6. And I go to
Okay,
my
so
class.
what you need to do is the part of you that is afraid that if you're not working, 18 hours a day, 19 hours a day, you're going to fall behind. It, you can satisfy that part by becoming more efficient and effective. You could to say, I need to become 10% more efficient and effective. You can often do that just by writing your goals out. That what are the three most important things for you to accomplish every day? And do them. Okay, make sure that you do the three things that are most important early in the day. You will have problems with that. But if you know you're going to have problems, if you track your results and you know you're going to have problems, then when you let yourself down, when you break faith with yourself, you don't beat yourself up. You laugh about it, say, this is normal, it's predictable. So, what I would like you to do is to make a commitment to be back here next week. And
I definitely.
fantastic, fantastic. And what you're going to do is at the beginning of every month, write out what you need to accomplish that month. Start becoming an expert in being efficient and also be an expert on getting sleep at night. Decide that you're going to be so good at that that you could teach a class how to be so
I
efficient
don't,
that you can
I
sleep
don't
for
know.
9 hours a night.
Even if I go to bed, I just wake up in a panic,
Yes. So you've got
that I haven't
you're
gotten
dealing
stuff
with a lot
done.
of fear. The antidote for fear is action. And another antidote for fear is gratitude. It's you can't be grateful for your life and be afraid at the same time. That so every day start by asking yourself what you're grateful for. It's like riding a bicycle through the forest. If you look at the trees, you'll smash into the tree. You have to look at the spaces between the trees. So in your life, you start with what you're grateful for. Even if you are marching to the guillotine, you're marching to die. It is a far, far better thing I do than ever I have done. It is a far, far better rest I go to than ever I have known. That that it is that we are not affected emotionally by the things that happen to us. We are affected by the way we hold the things that happen to us, by way we think about the things that happen to us. You need to commit to being a master of controlling your own heart. And you just look at it. I have a vast amount to learn here. So I'm going to spend 10 minutes a day researching how do I organize my time better? How do I sleep better? 10 minutes a day. Aren't you worth that?
Yeah, I did, and I have taken steps to that because I was so
Good.
grateful to be working at this job that I was allowing them, and I went through like 2 weeks. One week I worked 6 days a week, and then the next week I worked 7 straight days. And I realized that I was
We have to
grateful
do
for the
that during
work, but,
emergencies sometimes, but
but
you want
yeah,
to get away from that as soon as possible.
set set boundaries is what I had to
Yes.
do. I had to set
Yes.
boundaries at work. I had to tell them I'm off
Remember,
Fridays and Saturdays.
remember, you are now the mother of the little girl inside you. She is the one that has all the creativity. If you do not give her time to play, you are engaging in child abuse of yourself.
Well, I need to go to jail then.
That's right. So what you need to do is what I invite you to do is to use the tools that we're talking about here. To people who come in this group, we give all these tools away for free. We charge other people for this stuff. Okay. Yeah, I literally get $1,000 an hour for counseling people. But I love giving this away to you guys. You're my family. You're writers and you're readers, you know, fans of me or of Tananarive. You're there. It feels appropriate for us to do this for you. So every every month, think about what you're going to accomplish that month. Every week, you start the week by thinking what you're going to accomplish that week. That means tomorrow, Sunday, sit down with a piece of paper. This is what I need to accomplish this week. Start with 9 hours of sleep. Okay.
I'm
And
going to try. I am going to give that a try. I've got some magnesium that I'm supposed to rub on the bottom of my feet, but I'm always afraid that I'll oversleep.
I understand.
And
So
but I'm going to
get a
try
better
it
alarm
tonight.
clock. Get a better alarm clock. See, you're afraid. And then you're going to be afraid of being afraid, and then afraid of being afraid of being afraid. And then the fear will start talking to you and adjusting things, and it'll give you something to be afraid of. So
I want
if
to I want to jump in with a couple
please
of
do, please
sleep
do.
tricks here because I notice when Steve is not here, I tend to stay up later and fall asleep watching TV, and I lose track of my routines more easily, so that I'm waking up all throughout the night, not feeling rested in the morning. Lots of bad habits, okay? Um, the first is to make sure you're sleeping comfortably. I used to wake up with pain in my shoulders and sleep wrong a lot. A pillow can change that. So you might need a pillow between your knees. You might need a pillow for back sleepers. It's like a cradle. I love it. I have a tendency sometimes when I go to bed to be clenched up. I caught myself doing that last night. I'm not serious about going to sleep, am I? If I'm all clenched. So
Yeah.
lay your arms down at your side. Do an intentional, I'll call it a meditation, to make sure you're relaxing every part of your body and you're not clenched. Like, how are you going to sleep when you're clenched? I have a trick I call sleep breathing. Like, sometimes I like to listen to audio to go to sleep, but that's a trap because I get caught up in it and I'm not going to sleep. So rather than listening to the audio, I'll do my sleep breathing, which is inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 8. It's the same breathing I use during meditation. It works like gangbusters for sleeping. You'd be shocked. In for 4, hold it for 4, exhale for
If you
8.
will learn, you should study this until you can write articles about it.
And the other thing, one last thing I caught myself trying to do last night while I was all clenched up is we have a waterer in our room that bubbles and gurgles when it doesn't have enough water in it. And I said, oh, I should pour more water in that before I go to sleep. And I sort of made a task for myself, like I'm in bed trying to go to sleep, still doing a to-do list. Okay? So I had to tell myself, let that go because I've had little tasks like that. Sometimes it's going to the bathroom. Oh, is my bladder a little full? Oh, do I need to turn out that light in the closet? That little task might wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning, might wake me up again at 2 in the morning. You have to like clear your to-do list. You're in bed. Okay? There's no such thing as a to-do list when you're in bed. So either do that stuff before you go to bed or decide it's just not going to get done tonight because I am going to sleep and the TV is off. I'm not listening to a podcast or an audiobook. I'm not tensed up. I have my sleep pillow. I'm sleeping in my comfortable position and I'm doing my sleep breathing. I think it will help a lot.
If you neglect your rest and keep working, the quality of your work begins to decline. If you
Oh,
are
yeah,
afraid,
definitely.
huh?
I definitely,
Oh,
I
yeah.
definitely know that.
So the part of you that is cold and calculating needs to ask, so, well, what is the use of sleeping? Is this not a waste of time? No.
Yes.
It is specifically the time you need to grow. When you exercise, your body does not grow while you are exercising. Your body grows while you sleep. The same thing is true of our minds. We push our minds, but it is the reconnection that takes place during dreaming that makes us smarter and better organized. So it's push, 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 and now become an expert at sleep. Take a hot shower, soak in a hot bath, read a book, stop watching television an hour before. Research, research, research. Try different things. Keep track of what you're doing. This is critical. This is critical. If you want to perform at the next level in your life, you have to master this level. Okay? All right.
Thank you.
You betcha. Who's next? Who's next? Okay. Well, if there isn't anything about that subject, then let's go to people who would like to ask questions about anything whatsoever and volunteer or you will be voluntold. Uh, Che, get your rusty butt up here.
Am I, am I here? Did I get here?
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, all right. Okay. How's it going
It's
today?
going pretty well. And my voice is suffering a little bit, but I anticipate that within the next week, I'm going to basically have my normal voice back. It's been shifting around, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, you're just the transformation from like a month ago to today, like you're very vibrant, vital.
I had a 2 hour Filipino martial arts workout last Sunday on Zoom from Manila. I
Wow.
have a world-class expert who I have some history with, who I reconnected with when I was in the Philippines last year, and he charges me $50 for 2 hours of private lessons. From Germany, from India, where he's traveling around teaching these people. And because I'm lucky and such a hell of a guy, I've got a private instructor there. So
That's so awesome.
my hip never hurt. I got tired though. I was sweating. It felt great. It's like, oh my God, I can sweat again.
Yeah.
So
That's
anyway,
awesome.
so what's happening with you?
I'm like I've been a little bit off kilter. And it's not like there's any mystery why. Like I overcommitted myself to a bunch of different things, and then started doing the thing where it's like, oh, I don't have time to do this. Like do my exercises, so I'm just gonna jump right into work, and like felt the. And I know how to get back on track, which
Yeah,
is to just
so it's like you notice it.
yeah,
What I would suggest that you write down the excuses that you used. If you can, write them down some like on a piece of paper that's up on the wall. These are the excuses I use to rat fuck myself.
right, right.
No,
If I
I'll
see him
do it
up
later.
there,
I
then I'll
don't have
know when
time
I'm doing it.
because if you do that, your unconscious mind has limited resources to lie to you.
Right. Right.
Truth,
It's like I got a spotlight on the hiding spot,
that's
basically.
right.
Yeah.
You begin to notice the way you screw yourself over. And you think, well, here comes that excuse again. Here comes that excuse again. Here comes that excuse again. And I can promise you by the time the same excuse is recycled 3 or 5 times, you're going to start getting sick of yourself.
Yeah.
And you will start developing the motivation to change. Then all you need is a fulcrum, and a lever. Where in your psyche do you focus?
Right.
What do you use to motivate yourself? Get some combination of pain and pleasure with proper timing. Okay. When when you might notice that before you quit, you do X, then you notice the X, and instead of X, you do Y. Like you deliberately, instead of letting yourself feel tired, I'm going to go lay down, and then you end up taking a nap until all night. You do a sun salutation. You take a walk around the block. You break your old pattern. You
Right.
write down the way you did, and you keep in mind why. Why do you want to do these things? It's because I want to be the best Steve I can be, because my time is limited. I've got a crystal clear view of death. Crystal clear for the rest of my life. I doubt very seriously. I don't think I'm going to lose that. And it gives me urgency
Hmm.
to be to you guys the best I can be, to be to my son the best I can be, to be to that magnificent woman I'm married to the best I can be. Why do you want to take the next step, Jay? Why do you want to be the better man? Get really clear on why. Memento mori can really help, remembering that you do not have an infinite amount of time to do it. It can be very useful. But also, who are the people that you want to help? What is the light that you would be in the world if you could change? You get clear on the why and the what you want to accomplish. The how becomes relatively simple because you've already decided that you will not fail. You will not stop. That my attitude is very simple. You can kill me, but you cannot stop me.
Mm,
Very simple. That's who I am. So I ask, Che, who are you?
mm,
I'm asking right now, who are
yeah.
you?
Ah, I don't know the answer. It's like it's in there somewhere.
And the answer, until you come up with a better one, is you are that bitch. That's who you are.
Okay, I can work with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I'm that
it's I
bitch.
am a bad mother.
Yeah,
You know, I will kick my own butt and I will kick the butt of anything that stands in my way of being the best person I can be in the time that I have on this planet. We need you. We need your heart. We need your spirit. Okay? And your family needs you and your friends need you. And there are people watching you who are afraid that it is impossible to live a life of integrity and passion. You show them that they're wrong
mm,
by succeeding and still being a totally decent human being, caring, compassionate, generous. That your success does not mean you have to become an asshole, because that is a belief system that runs in poor neighborhoods. If
yeah,
you did not come from money and joy,
yeah,
if your family did not have money and joy and passion, you probably have beliefs that it's not possible to have with integrity. You're going to have to scrape that crap out of your mind, buddy. Okay?
yeah.
So get back on track. Tell me something that you're grateful for today.
Um, I am grateful for um I'm right now one of my roommates is my niece, and I'm grateful to have an opportunity to like get to be in family relationship with
Yeah,
with like the younger generation, and to get to be a cool uncle.
you need to be the coolest uncle God ever let live. I want you to strut, to dance, to show them that working hard for something that you care about is a gift to the world if the thing you care about is in alignment with your soul, with your spirit. There's something about you that appeals to me. There's something about you that makes me think this guy could offer something special to the world. Now, the truth is, we could all do that in our own way, but it's like it's bubbling right under your surface. I could see someone very much like you being 10 times as successful as you are. You can see that, can't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's build that life for you together. All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Good, good, good. So, who else? Who has not spoken for a while? Who would like to interact? Crystal Torres. You there, Crix? Oh, she may have stepped away from her microphone. That happens. Uh, Nikki, my daughter's name. Nikki. Okay, Nikki is hiding out too.
Hi. No,
Hello.
I'm here. I'm not gonna go on screen because I just started driving.
Uh-huh.
But hi.
So, what's going on? How can we help you today?
Um, let's see. Sorry, I'm rolling up the window so you don't get the backdraft. Um, Well, I posed the question earlier about um, the sun salutation and warrior walk possibly assisting in the long grief process. And I appreciated your response. I wasn't going to follow up just because I wanted to process what you had said, but I guess now's a good time to follow up.
Yes.
What if it's not, what if it's not so much that you're ungrateful or a lack of gratefulness, but it's the process of watching someone actively give up?
Okay. So here's the thing. It's not that you're not grateful. It's that when you are connected to gratitude, you're not going to experience the grief. That if
Okay.
you're watching someone giving up, you may be their only connection to life. That if it's, in other words, I don't know what someone is giving up. Maybe they're giving up life, that they're at the end of their life and they're tired of fighting, in which case you can help guide them to the other side with your own joy and your own sense of gratitude for having known them. If they're giving up on dreams, you can let them know that they're not bad, that you still love them and you still support them, and let them see you succeeding, but not letting go of their hand. Your joy does not make someone else's grief deeper. If you love them, your joy is a place where they can lean on you and they can tell you how bad things are, and they know it's not hurting you. That they're not going to expose their heart to people that they love if they feel that they're hurting those people. So your job is to take care of the little girl inside you and to then share that joy with others from your full cup. You don't give to others, or it's not optimal for you to give to others until your cup is full. And you can do that with gratitude in action. What are the things I'm afraid of? What are the things I could do to help alleviate that? We generally only feel fear when we're not taking action. There are some things we can take no direct action for. Watching a parent die. Far worse, watching a child die. It's hard for me to imagine where I'd have to go in my heart to deal with that, but I have faith that I would find it. Your ability to control your emotions. And the Stoics say there are two different types of things in the world: things you can change and things you can't. The things you can't change, let it go. Focus on the things you can control. And what you can control is your emotional reactions. And your emotional reactions control your behaviors. The proper behavior will do all that it is possible to do to make an external situation good. But ultimately, what happens, happens. We can't control the sky if it decides to rain, but we can open an umbrella, or we can dance in the rain, or we can stay inside and toast marshmallows. Focus on what you can do. What people generally do is they forget to control their own actions and internal world and focus on a world that does not care what you think and feel. The world cares what you do. So if you have people that you care about, this is the time that they need you to be strong. This is the time when they need for you to be joyful. If parents, especially, they need to know that their children are going to be all right. They need to know that it's okay if they have to go, that it's okay. They're not betraying their trust. Whoever it is that you're concerned about, you need to be strong enough to support them when possible, to show them how to be joyful in a world that is often painful. And if you cannot do those things, you still have the responsibility to yourself to be as joyous as possible in the time that you have to live. Does that make sense?
Yes. And
Does it help?
yes, it does. I think it's the last part. I still have a responsibility to myself to be joyful.
Yes. Now, do you have the Warrior Wellness Program? The part of it that I think would be useful is the aerobic part, which is the once you get the right weight, then walking back and forth for 2 minutes is a bear. And the sun salutation itself, you walk for 2 minutes, do a sun salutation, rest, or do a sun salutation, walk for 2 minutes, rest for a minute, 2 minutes, rest for a minute, 2 minutes, another sun salutation. Once you get the weight adjusted, you're going to be puffing like a blowfish at the end of those 3 sets. That's what you want. You want to slowly begin to increase your exertion until you are fully engaged. If you're fully engaged when you have to focus your mind completely on what you're doing, every step, every breath. What is my posture? Are my shoulders back? How is my grip? How is every step? When you're doing that, you're not thinking about your trouble. You see, you break the pattern of the negative spiral with physical exertion. Works like a charm. Uh, it should be a regular part of your life because under real emotional stress, we can ask, why am I here? What is the meaning of life? We go right past the most important thing, that the meaning of life is to live. It's the same as the definition of life, to breathe, to eat, to sleep, to love. It's the question after that that's complicated. How shall we live? How shall we be with each other? How can we be in society? But that core thing, to connect yourself with that animal awareness that you're going to survive, that you're going to do everything in your power to survive, that by itself is tremendously clarifying to the heart. So I do not suggest people get through grief or fear by trying to figure it out. Take action. What action can you take? Well, we've suggested one. Okay, sweetie?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome. And please come back and let us know how you're doing, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Tananarive? Oh, my baby girl is not at the thing. So basically, it's time for us to wrap up here. Remember the concept. Oh, Tananarive, you're
Go out and make yourselves the hero or heroine in your own story.
the hero in the adventure of your lifetime. Unmute yourselves and say goodbye to each other.
Thank you again, everybody. Love seeing you. Have a wonderful
Bye,
week.
everyone.
See you next week.
Stay
Bye-bye
safe.
now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mwah.
Peace.
See y'all next week.